If you don't hear me this time, please tell me. I'm sorry for being late for this lecture, but Dr. Warren had time to explain to you about this experience. Sometimes it is easier to understand this from a person who has achieved it than to understand from a person who is talking from some 10th story. That's what my father told me, that if somebody is born on the 10th story, the rest of them are on the first floor. If you start telling them from there, they will first of all not listen, nor will they understand what you see. It's not proper that we should try to tell them something from a level to a level which is still there, static, in their mind. So one has to raise their consciousness 2-3 stories so they start seeing that there's something beyond. But in doing so, so many mistakes have been there before, and some people have done it deliberately. Some are misguided and some are doing it deliberately. Net result is just the same. Even if you give poison to someone by mistake or in a misguided way, the result is the same. In the same way, whether you are misguided or whether you do it deliberately, whatever is wrong has an effect on the Kundalini. Now the Aquarian age is the word I picked up from Dr. Warren, which is so true today. Aquarian means the water carrier, and in Sanskrit language it is called as Kumbha. Kumbha is the one what we call the Kundalini. The Muladhara is the Kumbha, where the Kundalini is there, the power of Kundalini is there. So to call it an Aquarian age must be some work of some realized soul who could see that in this age the Kundalini is going to be awakened, and that an age will start of people getting their Kundalini awakened. Now I have already talked to you the other day about the second center, which is called as Swadhisthana, which gives us our sustenance and also our power to create. The sustenance is created inside that green part, which is represented by main 10 primordial masters. And these 10 primordial masters had another series of masters who were called as disciple principles. Now about these people I have talked to you last time, but today I would like to speak to you about other centers, especially this Nabi, which is the navel center, which is very important in human beings. This is the center by which we seek. When in amoeba stage we seek food. At a higher level we start seeking heights. Like when they became mammoth and all these animals, they wanted to have a height, to go over the trees, to be able to master them and to eat the leaves. But they became so much outsized with their height that they had to become smaller animals, like say intelligent animals, and like say cats and things like that, cat family. And this is how the evolution has been brought forth through our seeking as amoeba, then as animals, and now as human beings. As we have evolved higher and higher, we have become subtler and subtler in our seeking. For example, the people who are seeking, say, power, are not so evolved as people who are seeking their spirit, no doubt about it. Because you have gone through that. You have had enough of it. Maybe last lives you might have been kings and queens and you must have seen all the jokes of it. So you said, now it's had enough of it, this power business. We don't want to have any more. Such a headache we don't want to have. So the people who are seeking money also are the people who have had enough of it and they were fed up of it. So they said, now we have had enough. So now you are seekers of something beyond. It has been always so, something beyond we seek. But this seeking beyond is not described to so many people and they are not able to understand what is the beyond. That's why this center is very important of your evolutionary process. Now, first of all, as I have told you, that we have to be in balance. That's one thing we must have, is the balance in life. I mean, in common sense also we can see, supposing there's a car going only on one wheel, how many would like to travel by that? Anything that you do in life has to have a balance. Otherwise, anything, even catching something, holding something, or small things, even riding a bicycle, you know that you have to have a balance. So if the Kundalini has to move, you have to be a balanced personality, a personality with a temperate nature and must have a balanced attitude towards life. That is very important. But in case it is not, you can be sucked into the central path of the Sushumna, in the central path of your evolution. Now the evolution takes place by remaining in the central path. Those who go to the extremes fall out of this. Now the virus that we suffer from very commonly is nothing but a kind of a vegetable which is fallen out of evolution. Now the vegetable that we call as tobacco is going to fall out of complete evolution, and you will be surprised after some years you will not find any tobacco growing anywhere because it will go out of evolution. Thanks to human beings that they misunderstood the role of tobacco. Tobacco is an insecticide. It is to be used for killing the insects and not to kill yourself. But we sometimes forget that whatever God has created for the good, sometimes we can use it for our destruction. Same is alcohol. Alcohol was created for polishing. It's very good. For example, if you have to polish your crystal, you should use gin. It's very good for diamonds or anything. It's just a polish. It's a polish for the for anything. It gives a polish. See, alcohol is a polish and its composition is such that it gives a polish to a thing. Now God wanted you to have polished surfaces and polished things and all the clean look of it, so He gave you this polish. Now you started drinking it. Now what to do? He never asked you to drink. But if you drink that, then it polishes your intestines also. But it has its own nature. It doesn't have any idea of morality. Poor thing. We can't blame the alcohol because it is supposed to polish. Wherever you put it, it polishes. All right. So it polishes your liver also nicely. And when the liver is nicely polished, then what happens? That the heat from the liver, which is for the expulsion from the body, it has to pass into the bloodstream, cannot, because there's a barrier. And because of that barrier, poor liver does not know what to do. It just goes on accumulating all the heat within it, and that's how your liver goes out of circulation of anything. You have liver problems and you feel very giddy, nauseating, and liver is the one which really cleanses your attention. Whatever you gather from your attention, it cleanses. So you become horrid. I mean, you are all the time angry, hot-tempered, you bark at people all the time. All that thing is typically liverish, you see. You grow tall, like that, absolutely straight line, and you become very hot-tempered. Sometimes you could be hawk-like. So people will be afraid of going nearer such a person because such a person can be very dry personality. And that's why you'll find drunkard people, if they are over drunk, you go near them, they'll just beat you for nothing at all. I mean, it sometimes happens that by chance, if you go and ask some drunkard that was the time in the night, you will have it. So, because it spoils your awareness. And in that awareness, a nice man also could be like that. But of course, there could be a case where a person might become better. That is also another thing that can happen when you get possessed by this left side movement, because alcohol reduces your awareness, and you go to the left side, movement to the left side may give you a feeling, oh, I'm very much better now, and sort of you get happy because your ego is subsided and everything is all right, and I'm really morbid now, I cannot hit anyone, and let me have a little bit and sleep off. But next day there's a hangover, and you feel so horrible with it that you don't know what to do. I mean, it's something, then again you want to have it in the night because you want to again go to the same realm into the left side. Now this left side realm apparently shows that there is reduction in the weight of the ego, but it does not, it wobbles. What happens that you go to the superego on the left hand side, you see there, and the ego then thinks that it has gone down because the superego increases in size. But when superego increases, the ego is pushed down, and then when you come to your ego condition, then it pushes down. So there's a big wobbling going on, and such people get ultimately very much confused. They might end up in a lunatic asylum, I don't know what they do, but when they are even sane, you can find they lose the grip over life. For example, such people can become very frivolous and cannot feel the joy of life without drinking. It's most amazing that people can't enjoy each other unless and until there's a glass in between. I mean, human beings are so beautiful, and they have the capacity to enjoy each other so much. They are the only ones who are blessed more than anybody else. But if there's a glass all the time in between, then they can just bark at each other. They cannot enjoy each other. The enjoyment should be complete when there's nothing in between. Now this is what I was telling you, this Nabhi Chakra. This Nabhi Chakra gets ruined also when we take to alcohols or serious things like that, drugs, and even I've seen certain medicines can spoil this. Then you get a problem with other things like digestion, you get constipation, all sorts of things take place by which you develop gas troubles and other troubles, and then your heart troubles, and it goes on one after another. I do not say that it's only alcohol that will cause. There are other causes also, but alcohol can never be helpful in giving you good health. Some people have a feeling that if you take alcohol then only you will keep good health. It's a wrong thing. Because health is not only physical health, it's also mental health. People think that physical health is the end of everything. Is absolutely wrong, because we are not only the physical being, we are also the mental being and the emotional being. And when you play too much with your Nabhi Chakra, you have the biggest problem, and that is that you can never be successful in life as far as enjoyment is concerned of your achievements. For example, a person becomes rich, unduly rich he becomes, is a blessing, I should say, of Nabhi Chakra on the right hand side. Right hand side Nabhi Chakra can give you a lot of wealth, a lot of money, and you'll have 10 cars and 15 people attending to you, everything you may have. But it cannot give you the satisfaction of life. You will go on accumulating and end up with a suicide or something like that, and you would not know why you are bent upon committing suicide. That's why in all affluent countries you find people are planning to commit suicide, and the more affluent they are, the worse it is. But the left side gets completely dried. Now the left side is the center of the family life, the Graha Lakshmi, the goddess of the family, the household. You see, a person who runs after money too much forgets his family. He has no time for his family. The husband and wife may meet somewhere on the airport, or may just wave at each other sometimes, you see, crossing each other, or the children suffer the most. And in that case, the women also then take up with the men, they compete, what's wrong, they start copying men, and in doing so, when they compete with each other, then what happens? That this family life gets disturbed. The woman of the household is dissatisfied, her ego is not satisfied. In olden times, the man used to go in the jungle and get all the wood cut, bring it home, and give it to the wife, and wife used to cook. There was no problem because there was barter system. He could see her working in the household. Now the husband earns the money and the woman spends. I mean, that also requires some work, isn't it, to spend the money. But to man, it looks like that I'm the earning member and she's the spender. So she says, all right, I will also earn. But in this, too much of competition like this between the two, what happens? The family suffers, the children suffer. And such a person will have problem with the wife will have problem with the husband, and you can always feel that center on this finger. If that finger is catching, that means there's something wrong with your family relationship, that you have to adjust yourself and he has to adjust. It's an important thing. Because you are like the flowers which have to produce a fruit. That's what nature wants. Nature wants that you are there to produce the fruit, that is your children. That's why you are men and women. That's the basics. Now, if you think that with that responsibility, if you can do something else, you should do. But the main thing is that, and if you don't do that, is to look after your children, to give them joy, have a beautiful nest for them, then I must say that you are neglecting your basic duty and your attention on something else. That's why so many divorces are taking place and problems are there. Then women ask for their rights, they go beyond their limits, they become dominating here, the men become dominating. That's not the way we are going to solve. We have to know that we are two wheels of one chariot. One on the left, another in the right. Now they are not similar. They are not similar. There are two types, one left side, one on the right side. But they are equal. Whatever they do, it's equal. They are to be respected equally in the same manner. And it is always so. For example, I had a girl who came to me, and she was a private secretary. And she told me, Mother, you say this, but I have seen that all these men come and flirt with their private secretaries. So I said, all right, maybe so. But what does that matter? You see, that shows that something wrong with the man. He doesn't understand. He's off his head. He cannot enjoy his wife and he's running after other things. It's like having something in your house and you are looking at other things, you see. Like in India, if you go to somebody comes to your house, be careful about your things. But in England, I tell them, if somebody comes to your house, be careful about your wife. See, it's just a little difference between, but the second one is a dangerous thing because fundamental. The wife is the fundamental thing because you do not know what she will do, how she will react, and you do not know how the guest, because that is regarded as their freedom. But if you take away something from somebody's house, that's not freedom, because we can take away anything from somebody's house. Why should anybody arrest us? Because there is a free will for you to do what you like, is allowed to do what you like, but in that free will you are harming so many people and ultimately your society. Now these two wheels, as I said, are very important to God. Because so many great people want to take birth on this earth. So many great souls want to take birth on this earth. And if we behave in such a manner that all the time this chariot is this way going up or that way going up, I can tell you no child would be willing to be born in this place who are great people. Only the people who are of the worst type will be born. There will be hooligans, there will be horrible people with a horrid nature, and they'll spoil the whole atmosphere of the countries where husband and wife do not have good relationship. The children will be such hooligans and such horrible things that will be surprised that at the age of 8 years and 5 years they'll be committing murders and doing all kinds of such things that will be shocked. Now between you and me, because you are also husbands and wife, and one thing it should be there, that we should not quarrel before our children. We should have all decency of husband and wife. There are so many things we do not do in the presence of our children. In the same way, we need not sit down and quarrel and say, I hate you and I hate you. I tell you, this is something you have to change a little bit in our language. In India, if somebody says, I hate you, it's regarded, that man regarded as the most unmannerly person. I mean, it's very bad manners to say, I hate you. How? I mean, it shows that you are a very low type of a person to say like that. But I hate you, so what? If you hate, so what? You are not God. If you hate me, what does it matter? Actually, if somebody hates someone, so what? That shows that person is not a good person, just to hate someone. I hate you is a way of expressing something that is, I feel, is very wrong for the family system. It shocks children. Children look upon you as ideals. When they are born, you should see them. Most of the children nowadays in Australia are born realized. I see them around when I went to the airport and I see they are born realized. And they watch and they're surprised and they sulk and they feel very sad. They don't take sides. They don't like the father to fight the mother to fight. And one other thing which you must understand, that a certain gradation has to be there. A woman is the strongest point of the household, like this Mother Earth is. She takes all the problems upon herself. Because she's the strongest. Who else can withstand this kind of weight on her? It's the mother. In the same way, a woman in the house is the mother, and she has to bear up. You see, it's nice to have a husband who comes home and says whatever he likes and takes out all the filth on you, than to have a husband who is very sweet, hello, hello, and outside he goes like a bumptious tiger on everyone. Such a man you see, they are like children, I would say. They are like children. They have to take out their tensions on their wives only. And you should be an absorber of that. And that's the sign of a woman. A strong woman doesn't get easily disturbed by these things. She's not bothered. She says, all right, you little baby, come along. Now I have had 4 babies. Now this is the 5th one, which is the smallest has come. Let him shout and scream. Even with the children, you have to be patient. They'll hit you. They'll do anything. I would say that way in India, children are treated very kindly, and there are special things. They will do what they like when they are children. But when they grow up, we do not have teenage problem. We do not have problem when the children don't respect. This is a very important aspect of our modern life that we have to understand. What is the relationship of husband and wife is? Husband is like, say, a gentleman who is definitely to be respected by the wife. But if she does not respect the husband, she cannot get respect for her children. But the husband has to be a respectable man. That's very important. If the man is not respectable, he cannot be respected easily. But the more is the woman has to be very respectable. If she doesn't give her respect, you can handle any kind of man if you are clever enough. Drunkards, all sorts, they come down. Because after all, they are human beings. They are not bad people. But because of mishandling, they just get out. And the domination of men is just a myth. See, they cannot dominate. They are incapable of domination. They just do it because they want to feel that they are superior. That's all. But they cannot dominate. Whatever domination, what is their domination? It's little things here and there. Just like children. That's what it is. If women understand their maturity and their responsibility as women, because they are the Shakti, they are the power of the family, and they are the potent Shakti for the husband as well as for the children. But if they get disturbed, then the husband is disturbed and children are also disturbed. But they are potent. While the kinetics are these people, like here is the electricity, all right. So we say very good lamp and electricity and all that. But from where does it come? The source is somewhere quietly sending the source and enjoying itself by giving that source. In the same way, this is a very important sentence. Why I said it? Because today I went to Melbourne and all the time this finger was burning up to this point. So that means there's something wrong with men and women as far as their family life is concerned. They are all very upset, I felt. The husband is upset and the women. Maybe the laws may be against men, maybe here, I don't know, but in America I found a husband and wife relationship is very clear. For example, I met a lady with very queer people there. I went and stayed with a lady. She had a luxurious house with a swimming pool and this, and a maid coming to do everything up, and 5 stories and this. And she said, you see, one of my former husband will come and see you in Los Angeles. I said, all right, very good idea. So he came. He was like a pauper, walking like this. And he says, I have got a room on rent where I am staying, mother. It's very difficult. I have to share it with someone. I said, what? That lady who was there, she has a very big house. She's supposed to be a wife. He said, that's mine. I tell you, I lost it to her in a case. I said, how could you lose that in a case? Because she asked for a divorce and because she found guilty out of me something. So she got it. And she married 3 husbands. All the 3 husbands are moving like paupers, and this lady is very rich. If you marry 7 husbands are finished forever, but the lady is so rich 7 times more than any one of them. So this is kind of a law I don't understand. First of all, why there should be a law I don't understand between husband and wife. I just don't understand. I mean, we don't have such laws in India, but everybody cares for the wife because she is the nearest and the dearest person they have. Who else to depend? If the woman is dedicated and devoted to husband, do you think he'll run after any other woman? He has to come back to her. So he'll be so fed up with these women who just live for money or anything, then he has to come back. So you see, one has to take a very wise decision because you must understand you are born at a juncture, whether on which you will be destroyed completely or you will be saved completely. It's a very important thing. You have to save humanity. You are born at a time when you have to save humanity. It's not only Kundalini awakening that will help because you might be saved, but you have to save the whole society, the whole family, the whole, I should say the whole universe or the whole creation will have no meaning if you people are destroyed. Now this is one of the way of destruction, by destroying the family. The children become mad, the husband becomes mad. They all end up in orphanages. That's what I've seen. They are mostly in orphanages in their old age. There's nobody to bother about. So it's a question of giving and giving and giving. Now this Graha Lakshmi's center is on the left hand side and the another is Raja Lakshmi center is on the right hand side. Now this center gives us the power to rule over people and we become very, in extremes you see we can become very arrogant and we can become very, very sort of authoritative and we might sort of end up with a funeral with 10,000 people behind us, all bought from market and put there behind you without any feelings. That's all, finished. With such a man finished, they say, oh, thank God he died. He was a horrible terror for us. So, that kind of a life can come with Raja Lakshmi. But in the center is the Lakshmi. Lakshmi is the goddess, is the power within us by which we balance. Lead a very balanced life by which we are satisfied. Now they have made a beautiful picture of this Lakshmi. Also one should understand this power is a lady, is a mother, and she stands on a lotus. Now these are all symbols which suggest that these symbols are carved out with such deep significance. She stands on a lotus. Means imagine who can stand on a lotus. And she is a very healthy woman, and she stands on a lotus. It means that she is never putting pressure on anyone. A rich man comes in, he must honk his car loudly because he's rich, so he thinks he must honk it higher. And a rich man must go in a big limousine or some sort of a thing to show off that he's very rich. If he comes to any program or they must sit in front, he should have the front seat and he makes him known. Everywhere, everybody must feel the weight of the rich man. He can run away with 10 wives of somebody and he can have a big boat for himself and he can get any number of women there and he can spoil any families he likes because he's rich. This kind of thing comes in people, but Lakshmi, the one who stands on the lotus, the beauty and the glory of the riches that God has given that person. Then it has got two red pink flowers in the hand that are lotus flowers again. Now the lotus is regarded as a very holy flower in India because it is so receptive to everything that is crude and funny. First of all, it is born in the mud. Just think of it. In the mud, in the filth, where the horrible smell is coming out, the lotus is born. And the one lotus gives the fragrance, the beautiful fragrance to the whole atmosphere and kills all that filth and everything and covers the whole pond with its big, big leaves so that it looks a beautiful pond. That's what is the lotus for. But this lotus is a pink lotus, means pink, is the sign of love. Pink is the sign of love. So such a person has to have tremendous love and that softness of the lotus. Now the inside of the lotus is very soft and nice. And I don't know what you call that, the black bee, a very big one, which has got horrible... No, the black bee is like that, which has got angular legs and things like that. Horrible, you cannot touch it. That one can find its place in the lotus. When it goes to the lotus opens its petals and takes it inside and makes it sleep on the corona that it has, very soft one on the bed, and covers it nicely and gives it a nice, swinging feeling that it feels it is in the lap of the mother and it sleeps on. Even such an animal, it gives a place to live. Now the man who is a Lakshmipati, the one who is blessed with Lakshmi, has to have a temperament like that. Anybody who comes to his house, anyone, should be very readily accepted. I have seen people like that. I have seen in my lifetime. Should be accepted and they should be very gratified to have such people in the house and should feel that, oh God, what a blessing it is that we have a guest in the house. But in modern times, we find out devices and methods how to avoid guests. Guests are equal to pests. I was in London. We were living on Surrey Hills and we had bungalows, separate bungalows, quite good bungalows, I should say. There were 7 bungalows. And poor husbands were taken to task for mowing the lawns and everything, and the wife used to tell them, now come along, do it properly. And the polishing of the brass, whatever was there, and everything was done very well. But I didn't see even a rat enter those houses. Even a rat. I mean, leave alone human beings. Nothing entered those houses, only these 2 persons used to come out and go in. And I don't know, they might be having some yearly, some sort of a get-together maybe. But nobody would. While my house was naturally, I am like this, so it was open all the time. People would come in and go out and this and that, and I was just enjoying their company. And one day they asked me, what's the matter in your house? All the time people are coming and going, and we used to wonder what is it going on inside. I said, nothing, just they come, have tea and go. That's all, just some talk together, some rapport of love. But what is this, all the doors are closed? That way I must say, Sydney people are very open-hearted. And they like to be together. There is a togetherness in them. But with all this, if you cannot have togetherness to enjoy your wealth with others, then what's the use of all the wealth? If you have wealth, you'll go for horse racing. That's also your own enjoyment. If you have wealth, you will do something else which is so individualistic. You cannot enjoy your wealth unless and until you share it. As I told you the other day, that I am a capitalist in the sense I have all the powers within myself. But I cannot live without sharing it, so I am the greatest communist because I just cannot enjoy it. That's why I had to come all the way to Australia. And today my husband was so insistent that I should come back soon. I said, no, I have to meet all the Australians still, and then I'll come. So unless and until you share this love after realization, you do not enjoy. All isms drop out because you become combination of both extremes. And you just start enjoying yourself. Now this lotus is in the hand, and another hand that the goddess has is like this. She has 4 hands and one hand like this. Now this hand that is like this means with this we must give. We must give. We must be generous. Miserly people cannot be the blessed ones. They cannot. Miserly rich is the horridest thing that you could think of. I mean, if you see a miserly person, I don't know, I get a headache with a man like that. You see, who goes on counting each and every pie and measuring everything. You see miserly, horrible things. And ultimately when they die, their children take out all their money and just spend it over. Miserly people have another way of getting their money looted. For example, a thief might come in. If not thief, then their children will become very wayward, or something will happen. They will get sick and they'll have hand broken and feet broken or something, and they will have to spend money. So the miserly people are such a nuisance to the society. They give nothing to the society. They are there for themselves, and they're just malignant personalities. The people who gave, not, of course, I don't believe in giving into somebody freely, because that also can spoil people. If you give something to someone very freely, they can be completely spoiled and they would not know how to use that money. This is the trouble with human beings, is that they cannot bear anything. If you give them money, either they become miserly or they become wayward. If you give them power, either they become dictatorial or they become destroyers. You cannot give anything to human beings without realization. Anything they get extreme, they become mad. That's one word can explain it. Now, Krishna has said, Yoga Kshema Mahamya. He has said, I give you yoga, that is union with God, self-realization, and then I look after your Kshema. And Kshema means your well-being. This well-being is brought forth with this Lakshmi, with one hand that is giving. The another is the protection. This hand which gives should not, the other hand should not do. It should be so done so graciously. Today only I was telling the story to some people about my own father, who was a very generous man I've ever known. And he had a habit on a Sunday afternoon, he used to go, he used to call all the people and say that I have to give away lots of things, I have too many things in the house. He would take out all the blankets, sometimes all the utensils, and sometimes food, anything that he felt like he used to give away. So people would come and he would pass on, and his head was bent like that. And some people told him, what's the use? Some people are taking 3 blankets, some are taking 2 blankets. You don't even see what's happening. You are just giving away. Please, at least raise your head. So he said, the problem is like this. Because I don't give, it's God who is giving. I'm just standing in between. And they all are saying that you are giving, thank you, thank you. So I feel very shy, first of all. And secondly, it is the lookout of God who is giving these things to see whether one gets 2 or 1. Why should I bother? I'm just standing in between. I'm not supposed to see who takes 2 or 1. Such generosity I have seen in my own lifetime. And I have seen the more generous years, the more generosity fluent our house. That like if you open this door from the other side, it starts flowing. But some people have 60 shirts, but still they'll go to the market and buy shirts. And they'll say, oh, I have a weakness for shirts. No, I don't understand this weakness of heaping up shirts after shirts. It is ridiculous, isn't it? Some of these things really are ridiculous. That I have a weakness for shoes. Now you go and see the shoes are from top to bottom, you can open a shoe shop. It's like that. What's the use of getting so many shoes? Because your foot has got the same size for years now. It's not going to change, even after realization. So there is no need to, if your shoes give way is all right. But I too have the same problem. That my disciples know that they should give me a shoe. I don't know why. They give me a shoe. All the time I go there, they give me chappal or a shoe or something. I said, now too many, now what to do? They said, Mother, return it to us, we'll keep it for vibrations. I said, that's a good idea, because I have no place to keep all these shoes. I'm not a cobbler. I cannot do anything with it. So it is useless. Best thing is to give flowers so that I can again send them back to some ocean or to some river. So even in there, when we go on accumulating, and I must have this, you go to the shop, the people are like this, watching you. What is there to watch? You see, whatever you want to buy, you go in the shop, see what you like, you have it. But sort of, I must have this, I must have that. I have known a person who had 10 ironing boards and 20 iron. in his house, all locked up. I said, for whom? So she said, maybe my children. I said, you have only one child. God has been very miserly about you. You have only one child. And now what are you going to do with these? You better throw them away. And with the electrical, appliances, they go off and all that. But she would not. She could not. She used to show everyone, see, now I've got it. Not antiques only, they're all modern stuff, you see. And this is how the things go on accumulating, which has no value aesthetically or in any way. Actually, you should buy something only to give it to someone. That's the best way of enjoying it to the maximum, you see. And anybody likes it, have it. You see, that's the best way. It's a great thing. I tell you, it's rather difficult for you people to understand, but I am one of them who does that very often. And my children and my husband are rather worried, God knows next time what she'll give away. But you'll be amazed, I have so many things despite all this. The whole time I'm thinking what to give to whom. Still, it's so many things in the house now that we have to take a bigger house. I don't know what to do with so many things. And I try to thrust things on the people, Baba, you take this, you have liked it. But they say, no, how can you give me? But really, that gives me such a pleasure. And one must learn how to do it. But I have seen human beings are different. For themselves, they'll buy diamonds, and for others, they'll buy artificial things. It's very common, They're wearing diamonds, and when it is come to giving to others, they'll give artificial. At least don't wear at that time the diamond. At least that much decency should be there. So, you see, when it comes to giving with your full heart, you just feel that love of giving. And you feel so happy, because you feel so big about yourself. Like an ocean that's giving so much of clouds, and again it is receiving these rivers into it, and again making it into clouds. A sort of a circle of a beautiful conversion into beauty after beauty starts. It's so beautiful. And that's what we should try to become, a part of that circle, which is so beautiful and which is so joy-giving to yourself also. And this is what it is. And this hand is for ashraya, means for the protection. You must protect the people who are your subordinates, who are dependent on you, your children. Like, it's a very common thing to insult your children from their childhood. Why did you spoil that carpet? Why did you do that? You should not have said this. Why did you? This is a very wrong thing of disciplining. Best discipline is to put dignity into children. You see, a good home in India, we say, is known by the way children are addressed in the family. Like in a good family, we address the children like sir, little bit like that, means sir. We never address the children with indignity, and we put them on a dignified level. And it's a very nice thing. I'll tell you about my own granddaughter, that somebody was telling her one day that there's this boy, and why don't you marry him? He said, why do you want to talk about marriage? I'm not yet grown at all to think about marriage. And we have to be dignified about things. How can we think of marriage when we are not to think? And my grandmother will marry me, and I want to live a dignified person. A little girl of 7 years said this to this woman, who was very sort of pseudo-intellectual type, and she tried to tease my granddaughter. She said, this is not dignified. Just think of that. At the age of 7 years, they have their sense of dignity. If you tell them, you see, you need not tell them don't spoil the carpet, but give them dignity. They will never spoil it. You will be surprised. Because we all the time cut them short, they become so bad. They think we are good for nothing, we don't know what to do. All the time they are telling us like this. Or even if you have to tell them, tell about somebody else. Like that boy, he was absolutely useless, he didn't know what to do, he spoiled the whole carpet, I went to his house and slipped down. The child immediately gets the thing. But directly, all the time hitting the child, you see, gives him a personality which does not hold anything substantial with him. He might later on become a very arrogant person, taking a cue from his parents, and he may behave the same manner. But he would not be that dignity which just is silent and is expressing and manifesting. It should be a silent dignity which just manifests. And when people see such a person, it happens. people see and say, oh, what a man, what a dignity. You see, that's what, and they become sort of ideals for society. I think this correcting the children is not the way. It is not disciplining, but it is making them grow. What we have to give to our children is the joy, is the happiness of the family, is the complete security, a sense of complete security. And you will see you will never have teenage problem. Never have teenage problem. You'll be surprised. You put them anywhere. They'll be so dignified and so mature that people will be amazed. You won't have to tell them. Even small little children I've seen. If you keep your house very clean and also always look after it, children themselves will keep it clean. They would like to. Because children are really the budding beauties. When we cut them at the root. They expect so much from us, you see. They lose all their dignity. And I tell you, you try this with your children. Give them dignity. You will be amazed how they behave. We say they are spoiled. I've never seen children being spoiled when they are dignified. Like my own grandson is a realized soul, a very big person, and all his friends are above 25 years. See, he's just a 5 or 6 year old boy. And he doesn't like to wear any dress which has got funny faces and all that. He says, this is like a clown. I'm not a clown. I don't want to wear. I found it very difficult in Singapore to buy a pant for him which didn't have any funny faces, because all of them had Mickey Mouse, this, that. And I've seen my grandchildren also, daughters, that these dolls with the, you see, this ducky, what you call the duck sort of a face, you see. They said, what's wrong with these dolls? They should know how to put their lips. This is not good. I mean, you see, they themselves know that this is wrong. She's going to go into tantrums. That's what they say. This duck is going to go into tantrums. That's why she's behaving like this. Oh, like that. You see, their great grandmother, sometimes the way they do some things and the way they behave. But we must give them real love and joy and happiness. That's the thing we can give to our children. And you will be amazed that this Australia is going to be blessed with children who are very great saints. Very, very great saints. I know that. And you have to look after them with dignity. Very great saints are going to be born in this country. So I have to request to you that forget your problems. Husband-wife problem is nothing. Look after your children, give them dignity, give them a nest where they could live. Forget, because I have seen, in England I have seen, even an 8-year-old woman behaves like a bride. I mean, she doesn't get over her feeling that she was a bride. Like one of the great expectations you must have read of Charles Dickens, where there was a bride who was sitting all the time thinking she was a bride. I see that picture even today. All the time they are in bridal mood. See, you are a mother and you have to treat your children with that dignity and with that love that a mother should give. It is very difficult for some people to accept the position of a mother. They think, why women should be the mothers? I said, this is the greatest things. Look at me. Look at me. This is the greatest thing to be the mother, to love everyone. That they depend on you for love and guidance, just for love. Such a great thing to feel, oh God, see how much I can give, how many cups I can fill. It's such a great feeling. I wish you would know what a mother is. And the motherhood you have to learn from your children and grandchildren and expand it to the whole universe. It's such a great thing a woman has. In the same way, the father has to do a lot of things about which I will tell you when we go to the other center. I think I've talked at length on this center because all the time what I find, these two centers are catching very much in Australia. So we have to talk about the things that are catching on this and this. And today I saw there 5, 6 children with their both the fingers saying, all realized children, with those fingers they were sucking. And they were showing me again sucking like that. So you can imagine how much it is. And otherwise this one. And this means that you have been going to some unauthorized personality. If you are going to some unauthorized personality, this thumb will be cut off. That's why children put their things in their mouths. And Freud has his own nonsensical theory. But actually it is the center that is catching that these born realized children are showing. Now, for today, I may not be able to cover other centers so much, but later on, what is the date we are having the program now?
Next Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Next Monday, Wednesday, Friday. 3 days are there, out of which I will cover all these centers, and especially that of Christ I would like to speak. Because I met some people. When I went to America, I was telling the people there that you are to be born again. You have to be born again and you must have your realization. So what I found, whatever lecture I gave, they were big, much bigger than these. You see, they had brought to tape all my speeches. And the people who organized my program told me that, Mother, you better get it to patent and don't allow them to tape it. I said, why? He said, they will be publishing, these are all writers and this. I said, very good, let them write. But some of them started an organization called Born Again. Imagine. Now, if I said you have to be, then you start an organization that we are already self-certificated. You see, it's a thing one should understand. You are to be born again. Now, Christ has said that you will be born through me. It's a fact. Where is Christ? Is here. This is the gate. See the narrow gate. And your Kundalini has to pass through that. Now, in case it does not pass, you have to say Lord's Prayer. You have to take the name of Christ and you have to adore Him. Then only it passes through, shows that you have passed through Christ. To enter into the kingdom of God, which is the limbic area. So it's a fact. When He said you have to pass through me, He didn't mean that people who are self-certificated can say that, all right, this is Christ, this is Bible, this is Christ. As if Christ is somewhere lying there, you just have to turn a stone and you get Him there. Christ is here. How do you approach Him? Is only through the Kundalini awakening, and it passes through Christ. This is the door. Now say, you are all Christians, or maybe you are Jews, or whatever it is. But in India, for example, they have a very antagonistic feelings towards Christianity. Now, even a Hindu or a Muslim, if he denies, he says, all right, I don't believe in Christ. He has to. I have to tell him that, see, if you don't believe in Christ, I cannot give you realization. You have to ask for forgiveness and you have to request Christ, then only this will pass. Now, there may be Jews or Christians, anytime, they have to know that all of them are here. For example, there was a doctor who came from Tehran to see me. He had cancer. And he came to see me, he had cancer of the stomach. So I told him that, do you believe that Muhammad Sahib was the same as the Tatraya or Nanaka? He said, no, I don't even believe when you say that he was Moses or Abraham. I said, he was Moses, Abraham. And they are very powerful personality. Unless and until you accept that he was Moses and Abraham, you are not going to get it. He said, I cannot say that, because Jews and Muslims are like this. I said, they both are the same, they are very great personalities. You are just fighting for nothing at all. I know who is Moses and I know who is Abraham. But he would not accept. For 8 days, then his wife, she was wiser. She said, you better get it. You are not well, you will die, better get it. Then they came. You see, this is what happens. They are just compelled. He came, all right, Mother, whatever you say, I will accept. I said, not that. From your heart you have to say. And he was cured. For your information, he was cured. So do not have any extreme ideas. They are all in there and they are all one. Only we are fighting, saying this is mine, that is mine. So this is, I've just hinted at this center because I think that's a very important center. As I have discussed with the Void about all these Abraham, Moses and all the Old Testament, which is so important, how Christ is the one who stays there, who crucified himself to make a path for us to pass through, why his crucifixion was necessary. So I'll spend more time on that later on. I hope you'll make it convenient to come again, and I hope we'll get a better hall. They are feeling very warm here.